All right, let's turn to this matter now. Parents of the Eldorado Park School Governing Body Forum and concerned residents have encouraged others to join in being proactive in the community. They say that many children are at the heart of gang violence and acknowledge that solutions can't always come from government. Parents have been meeting this afternoon to discuss gang-related violence and curriculum issues. Newzroom Afrika's Katleho Sekhotho has been following that particular meeting. Joins me now live with the latest. Katleho, good to have you. What are we learning? What has been outlined in this meeting?
Mr. Mdluli, certainly one can describe the meeting that took place here today as robust, in which the community, mostly parents, were afforded the opportunity to take the microphone and to speak amongst each other about the problems that exist within the community. The main one being the gang-related incidents that happen in and around schools. And parents, I think the theme that came out of this meeting was that, it is children who come from homes within the community who may be perpetrators within the schools as well as outside the schools, and that parents need to take a much more proactive role in resolving this issue. They highlight that it can't always be whether government steps in, social development, SAPs, and so on, but acknowledging that as a community, they have to also play their role in carrying out responsible parenting, not just of their own children, but being observant and seeing when another child is also, behaving badly and keeping it within the community to be strong for each other rather than seeking always outside help. But I do have with me Mr. Campbell from the School Governing Body Forum to give us more. So just if you look at this meeting that took place, do you think that some concrete solutions have come out of it, and can you chart a way forward?
Yes, I do believe that there were some very good solutions that came out of this meeting. I think, like I said in the meeting also, that we've got this big elephant and we need to eat it bite by bite. And I think this is going to take us a time, but we also, as mentioned, is that the solutions we've looked at is that we need to sit down and iron out all the solutions that came in and look how do we prioritize where we start off. Because this whole thing is more to do also with how do our parents get involved in the lives of their children. As much as we said the government needs to come and all these other stakeholders need to come in, but it needs to start at our homes. Charity begins at home. And I think there is one place that we need to also start, bring discipline back in our homes, because that's where it needs to start. Yes, one of the big things also we picked up in regarding this is from a solution point of view is we need to look at a holistic picture, because from a social coherence point of view, there's a lot of social ills in our community that affects our children to get involved also in gangsterism. You find there's homes that don't have a mother or don't have a father, or you find that there's delinquents in these homes. But we as a community also need to start taking up our stance and saying, we need to get involved in our children's schoolwork to find out, are they going to school? What are they doing at school? Because most of the times we've got parents that are working all day. They don't know what is happening with their children. They only take what the children tells them. But like I say, this is a holistic picture we need to look at. But we also need to have accountability and responsibility as parents ourselves to say, how do we raise up our children? Yes, there's a lot of things that our children need. Some of our children are not all academically inclined. Some of the solutions that came up was to get our children into some skills development schools or like a TVET college, or even in our community there is one school that basically offers that type of thing. But how do we make that school more functional in regards to help our children with because they're not academically inclined, how to work with their hands. So we need to find solutions that's going to help our children to get them out of those gangsterism, because most of the children in gangsterism are involved not in the sense of because they want to. Sometimes they got coerced in getting into those things because they might find value in this brotherhood that they found in. And when they've got someone that's looking after them or someone that's feeding them, that's always an issue. And we need to find ways, how do we get them out of that? Because you can get them out of that, where do you plug them into? And these are the solutions that we need to find for these youngsters. We need to find for them how they can get out of that place of not being threatened, and how they can go to rehabs. So we need to sit down and say, in order to help our children, this is the first step we need to do. Yes, yes, there's many other things we need to do, especially from protections at school, because teachers are also under threat. But we need to find ways, how do we protect our teachers, how do we protect our learners, and somehow the government also needs to play its part, but it's something that we need to work together.
Yes, and I think it was just going to lead me to my next question. One of the worrying things that came out of the meeting was you have learners as young as grade 1 and 2 associating with some of these gangs. How do you, at such a tender age, break that dependency or feeling like they're part of this, quite a negative community? How do you break them out of there and build them up?
I think that's where we all need to play part, and that's why the Eldorado Park SGB Forum started. Because we need to start doing certain things even from an SB point of view. But the help you're only going to get is when our parents get involved in that. And saying, how do we help those children? Especially, I think the concern today was also, it's already starting in primary school. And when you have a youngster at that age already in anger, that tells already what is happening at home. Because most of these children bring it to school and they don't know how to handle it. They're taking it out on the teachers. So we as the SGB, the component, the teachers and the parents, plus the other stakeholders, we need to sit down and say, how do we assist these youngsters? Because some of them come to school hungry. Some of them come to school, they don't even have clothes. We've seen it. You see it every day where you say to this boy, pick up your pens. And you see some of the guys, how their pens look. And we make these, assumptions, hey, this child is, but we don't understand what is happening at home. And this is where the schools also need to start playing, where governments will come in to say, you know what, there's children that are suffering here. They're sitting with one parent, they might not even have parents. They're staying in places that's not even suitable for them to live. But we've never done those investigations. And those are some of the things we also need to start taking charge of.
We'll leave it there for now, Mr. Campbell. Thank you so much. So certainly you hear it there, Mr. Mdluli, the remarks by a representative, Mr. Campbell, there from the School Governing Body Forum. And the meeting did invite as well the Aldo ceasefire team, but they were not present. And some of them making remarks at the beginning of the meeting that this is part of the problem, that not all the stakeholders were part of today's meeting. But certainly the message here today, I think, amongst the parents who were involved, speaking to each other to say, as parents, we can play a greater role in dealing with, behavioral issues amongst young people, to root out the issues that permeate as gang violence, and to get kids learning and more productive and proactive in the community.
Katleho, Sekhotho, much appreciated. Thank you for your intervention this afternoon.